So, I have some really exciting and interesting news coming out of Texas. There are 16 courageous as hell families taking on Christian nationalism in Texas. They are representing their children in suing 16 different school districts for posting the Ten Commandments in every classroom. They just filed the lawsuit this month, December 2025. They filed it in the Western District of Texas. Um, so the bill that was passed and signed by Governor Abbott went into effect September 1st. Despite courts ruling it unconstitutional, they're still forcing public schools to post these Ten Commandments. Now, I'm looking at the complaint right now, and I'm going to read the most important excerpts, and I want you to follow along because the details are important. So, according to the complaint, consistent with Texas law requiring parents to send their minor children to school, upwards of 5.5 million students are enrolled in more than 9,000 public elementary and secondary schools across the state. These children and their families adhere to an array of faiths, and many do not practice any religion at all. Nevertheless, because of Senate Bill number 10, which requires public schools to post a state-approved Protestant version of the Ten Commandments in a conspicuous place in every classroom, all of these students will be forcibly subjected to scriptural dictates day in and day out. Here is the Protestant version of the Ten Commandments that must be posted in every classroom. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make to thyself any graven images. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, even if your parents are abusing you. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his cattle, nor anything else that is thy neighbor's. Okay. The act also requires the text be 16 inches by 20 inches, that it be in typeface that is legible to a person with average vision from anywhere in the classroom to see the Ten Commandments. Under the act, all these students will be forcibly subjected to the state's official version of the Ten Commandments for nearly every hour that they are in school. Texas public schools must operate for at least 1,260 hours each school year. So according to this complaint, students entering Texas public school systems in kindergarten will be subject to the state's preferred religious dogma for up to 16,380 hours across their 13 academic years. The founding principles reflect in a long line of Supreme Court jurisprudence that prohibits public schools from imposing religious doctrine and practice on students. Indeed, for nearly half a century, it has been well settled that the First Amendment forbids public schools from permanently posting the Ten Commandments in this manner. Despite this precedent, the defendant school districts have pressed forward with actually posting the displays in classrooms. They have done so even after many of these defendant school districts received a letter from plaintiffs' counsel notifying them of a court's ruling and warning them that all school districts have an independent legal obligation to comply with the ruling and avoid violating children's and parents' First Amendment rights. The complaint goes on to detail all different religions, including Buddhism, those who study the Torah, and you name it, as to why this Protestant version of the Ten Commandments does not align with their beliefs, and how many of them do not even believe in the Ten Commandments. It lays all of that out. Now, this lawsuit is important because this is going to establish a precedent in the state of Texas. And quite honestly, after that, it's probably going to make its way up to the Supreme Court. Now, I don't think the Supreme Court, even though they're conservative, will align with this. But nonetheless, let's follow closely. Let's send out good energy and good vibes to these 16 brave families and also the ACLU that's representing them. If you're not donating to the ACLU, if you've even got $5 a month for automatic donations, please do so. This is the kind of kick-ass things they're doing to save our democracy.